Well, in today's exercise, they are proposing we insert rows of cells every 3 months, and that we calculate partial amounts for each of the 4 quarters we will get from the division of the year into 3 months, basically into 4 parts of 3 months each. So good so far. Then it also asks us to look at what happens with this division. That is, something strange is going to happen, and we will have to redo the annual total using the AutoSum function. Well, so we are going to resolve it using this function. We go back to the spreadsheet, and we recall that we had a data set throughout all the months. Well, let's start by inserting rows every 3 months. In other words, after March, the first quarter ends, and here we would insert a row. Well, we have inserted a row indeed, but the problem that this is creating is that there was a sum here of the entire range, and within said range, we are inserting rows. It is true that, at the moment, there is no numerical value, meaning these results are still correct. But we will see if that changes later. Let's repeat the operation for all the quarters. We right-click and proceed to select Insert. And as for this total, we are going to label it as Annual Total. Alright, so now we see that this spreadsheet is still correct and all. However, now the exercise asks us to insert, for each quarter, a subtotal. That means that here we should make the sum of the previous 3 months. In a way, this is a partial total. As we already know, we select the entire range, and after clicking on the AutoSum function, Excel automatically inserts in each of them the sum of the range of each 3 of the cells that are exactly above. We can appreciate that Excel has realized that the structure of the spreadsheet has 3 numerical data rows, for each alphanumeric data 1. The funny thing is that here, despite the fact that all the given data shown above is numerical, when we click the AutoSum function, Excel will also calculate it correctly. This is thanks to the fact that Excel realizes that the 3 numerical data that are just above are numerical data inputted, that is, they have been written directly as numerical data. However, the numerical data in the cell B5 is coming from a sum function, so that is how Excel says, oops, here the structure of the sheet changes, there are 3 numbers and a total. 3 numbers and another total. Therefore, in this cell, Excel automatically adds the last 3. It even creates a small note here, which if we decide to open by clicking on this green triangle, we would see that Excel is telling us that, in the profits column, which is where all subtractions from the left side are, is where the structure of the spreadsheet changes. Well, we conclude this by repeating this process 2 more times, and then we will see that the end total is, as it was expected, incorrect. This happens because here, we are doing a sum of the 12 values introduced, but also, as I have introduced the subtotals quarterly, it has also considered them in the sum, which is not what we wanted. In other words, we have to be especially cautious when we have a spreadsheet, and we decide to modify its structure afterward by introducing alterations in the middle of it. So we now have to check that everything below what we have introduced remains valid. In this case, we have already noticed that these sums are not correct. Therefore, we have to delete them. We proceed to delete them, and while remaining positioned in the same area, we re-click the AutoSum function, and this time, Excel does realize the new structure that we have generated in this table, and is able to correctly add the 4 subtotals. Now I am noticing that July and August have been paired together, but regardless, this is just a minor mistake that we could easily change now. The main exercise would have been fully completed though, so hopefully you all can start operating with subtotals from now on. See you all in the next lesson.